So now that you have this serged 5/8 of an inch seam, you are going to pin it down and pin it open. You want to make sure you're going to pin this edge as close as you can to the edge of the fabric and as close as you can to the edge of this seam. That way when we sew the top stitch and we go over top this folded area, it lays down nicely. We also need to mark our corners. Before we did the 5/8 of an inch and we did the whole width of this metal part. This time we need a 1/4 inch, which is 1/4. So we're gonna just use this width of the seam gauge and you're gonna line it up with the 2 marks because it's 1/8 and then 2/8, which is 1/4. And mark right at the corner, and that is where your needle should land. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna line my fabric up with the presser foot, and that just, I know that that is 1/4. And then my needle should land right on that blue mark that I created. I'm gonna go ahead and start my top stitch, and I'm gonna back stitch. And I'm gonna continue sewing with the fabric lining right along that presser foot. When I get to a needle or a pin, I'm gonna take my pin out and put it into a pin cushion, and I'm gonna hold that edge down and make sure I sew right over top. There's 2 layers of fabric, so your machine might feel a little different since it's going from thin fabric to thick, but I'm gonna continue sewing on that 1/4 line, which is the edge of the presser foot. When I get to that next blue mark, I'm gonna leave my needle down. I'm gonna pivot my machine or my fabric and see how my fabric lines right up with the presser foot. That is good. If it didn't, I need to pivot backwards and use my hand reel to either back up or move forward. And continue my 1/4 all the way around, pivoting in each corner and back stitching at the end.